My friends, every one of us is in a battle. Not the kind fought with weapons, but the kind fought in the mind, in the heart, and in the soul. The greatest enemy you will ever face is not out there. It is in here. It is fear. It is doubt. It is procrastination. It is the voice that tells you you are not enough. But let me tell you something. Every great man or woman who changed the world had to face that same enemy. A young mother who raises her children in poverty, yet teaches them integrity. She is beating the enemy. A student who fails an exam but refuses to give up on their dream. He is beating the enemy. A man who battles addiction and chooses one more day of sobriety. He is beating the enemy. The enemy is subtle. It comes disguised as comfort. It whispers, stay where you are. Don't try. Don't take risks. Don't change. But hear me clearly today. If you do not beat the enemy will beat you. And when it does, it will rob you of your potential, your destiny, and your legacy. History is not shaped by those who surrendered to fear. It is shaped by those who stood in the face of fear and said, you will not have me. Every revolution, every breakthrough, every discovery was made by ordinary people who made an extraordinary decision to keep moving forward, even when the odds were against them. You see, perseverance is not just an act. It is a weapon. Change is not just possible, it is necessary. And belief is not just a feeling, it is fuel. When you believe in a better tomorrow, you fight differently today. So I say to you, rise up, stand tall, beat the enemy before it beats you. For your children, for your dreams, for the generations that will come after you. Because when you win this inner battle, the outer battles will bow before you. And remember this truth, you are not weak, you are not forgotten, and you are not defeated. You are stronger than your fear, greater than your doubt, and more resilient than your pain. So walk out of here today with your head high, your spirit burning, and your faith unshaken. The world is waiting on your victory. Beat the enemy before it beats you. You see, the greatest battles of life are not fought on battlefields. They are not fought in stadiums. They are not fought in the glare of lights or before the cheers of crowds. The greatest battles of life are fought in the silent chambers of your own mind. It is here, in the quiet moments when no one is watching, that your true victories or defeats are decided. The enemy outside can be seen, can be confronted, can even be avoided. But the enemy within, that is the most dangerous one because it is invisible. It wears the mask of your own voice. It whispers like your own thoughts, and it convinces you that it is you. Fear, doubt, procrastination. These are the assassins of destiny. They come dressed in reason. Fear says, what if you fail? Doubt says, you don't have what it takes. Procrastination says, tomorrow will be a better day to start. And so the days pass, the weeks pass, and the years pass, while potential is buried alive, while gifts remain unopened, while dreams never see the light of day. The tragedy of life is not death. The tragedy of life is to die with your songs still inside you, your books unwritten, your business unstartled, your vision unfulfilled. And do you know who is responsible for that? Not your neighbor, not your critics, not your enemies. It is the enemy within. Think about it. How many times have you stopped yourself before anyone else could stop you? How many times did you talk yourself out of opportunities because you believed the lie in your own mind? How many times did you shrink back, not because someone told you no, but because you told yourself no? The enemy within is often the loudest voice you will hear. I want you to understand this today. Greatness is never destroyed from the outside first. It is always weakened from within. Rome did not fall because of the strength of its enemies. It fell because of the weakness inside its walls. And in the same way, your dreams do not die because of what others think. They die because of the war inside your mind that you refuse to confront. But here's the truth that makes this message urgent. The enemy within does not come with fire and fury. It comes softly, gradually, and subtly. It comes in the form of excuses. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't have the talent. Excuses are the tools the enemy uses to lull you into a false peace while it steals your destiny. Now let me bring it home to where you live. Imagine a young man with a brilliant idea for a business. He writes it down, he dreams about it, he can almost see the impact it will make. But then fear rises. What if you lose everything? What if no one believes in you? And so he waits. Doubt joins in. There are people smarter than you, richer than you, more connected than you. And so he delays. Procrastination comes last. Why don't you just start next year? After all, things might be better then. And before long, 5 years have passed and the idea has died. Not because it wasn't good, not because it wasn't needed, but because the enemy within won the battle. You see, when you truly grasp that your greatest enemy is not outside, but inside, you stop blaming others. You stop looking at the government, the economy, your parents, or your past. You begin to understand that your first responsibility is not to fight the world. It is to fight yourself, to conquer fear, to silence doubt, to destroy procrastination. And this battle is not won in one day. It is won daily. It is won every morning when you wake up and choose courage over fear. It is won every time you take one small step toward your dream instead of postponing it. It is won every time you decide that your future is worth more than your excuses. Every invention, every breakthrough, every story of transformation begins with someone who looked the enemy in the eye and said, "You will not have me." That is why the greatest athletes train not just their bodies, but their minds. That is why the greatest leaders discipline not just their words, but their thoughts. That is why the greatest achievers protect not just their time, but their focus, because they know the real battlefield is not out there, it is within. The question is, which voice will you obey? The voice of fear or the voice of faith? The voice of doubt or the voice of possibility? The voice of procrastination or the voice of discipline? Because whichever voice you obey will determine the future you experience. When we think of greatness, our minds often run to the famous, the powerful, the people whose names echo through history books. But let me remind you of a truth that is often forgotten. Every great man or woman began as ordinary. They were not born with crowns on their heads. They were not handed thrones. They were not given guarantees of success. They began like you and me, facing struggles, insecurities, and obstacles. What set them apart was not where they started, but the choices they made along the way. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things because extraordinary is not about what you have. It is about what you do with what you have. Think of a young boy in a small village with nothing but a hunger to learn. He walks miles to sit in a classroom. His shoes are worn, his books are torn, but his determination is unshaken. That boy grows up to become a doctor who saves lives. Was he extraordinary at birth? No, he was ordinary. But his perseverance turned his ordinary life into an extraordinary legacy. Think about a woman raising 3 children alone, working 2 jobs, and still finding time to instill values of faith, honesty, and hard work in her family. Society may not call her extraordinary, but in truth she is shaping the future of a generation. She may never stand on a stage, she may never be celebrated in the headlines, but her ordinary acts of love, sacrifice, and resilience are extraordinary in the eyes of destiny. Extraordinary does not always look glamorous. Sometimes extraordinary looks like getting up when life has knocked you down for the 10th time. Sometimes extraordinary looks like forgiving someone who hurt you deeply when bitterness would be easier. Sometimes extraordinary looks like starting again at age 50 after losing everything and daring to believe there is still more inside you to give. History itself is proof of this truth. Who was Martin Luther King Jr. before he stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial? An ordinary preacher with an extraordinary conviction. Who was Rosa Parks before she sat on that bus? An ordinary seamstress with extraordinary courage. Who was Abraham Lincoln before he became president? An ordinary man who failed multiple times in business and politics, but chose to rise again and again until destiny opened its doors. The danger is that many of us disqualify ourselves too quickly. We look at where we are, what we have, and what we lack, and we say, "I'm just ordinary." But that is the lie of the enemy within. Being ordinary does not mean being powerless. It means you are human. It means you are relatable. It means you are positioned perfectly for greatness if you refuse to quit. Extraordinary is simply ordinary multiplied by consistency, by faith, and by perseverance. When an ordinary person decides to keep showing up day after day, when they decide to keep believing even when the evidence says otherwise, when they decide to keep moving forward in the face of disappointment, something begins to shift. Ordinary becomes extraordinary. I want you to think about this: a seed is ordinary. It is small, fragile, and seems insignificant. But when it is planted, when it is watered, when it is exposed to light, it becomes a tree that gives shade, fruit, and shelter for generations. In the same way, your life may look ordinary now. Your job, your house, your resources may look small. But when you nurture the seed of your potential, when you water it with discipline, when you expose it to the light of belief, it will grow into something far greater than you imagine. The extraordinary is not found in comfort. It is found in sacrifice. It is not born in applause. It is born in persistence. It is not discovered in moments of ease, but in the hard choices you make when no one is watching. And the truth is, the world does not need more celebrities. It does not need more titles. It does not need more people trying to look extraordinary. The world needs ordinary men and women who dare to believe that their small acts of faith, courage, and perseverance can change lives. Your story does not have to be perfect for it to be powerful. Your life does not have to be without flaws for it to leave an impact. You only need to be willing to take the first step, willing to rise again after falling, willing to believe that your life, as ordinary as it may seem, carries extraordinary potential. Comfort is one of the most deceptive enemies you will ever face in your life. It does not come with violence. It does not come with warnings. It does not come screaming at your door. Comfort comes quietly. It comes softly. It comes disguised as peace. It whispers, "Stay where you are. You've done enough. You don't need to push anymore." And before you realize it, years pass and nothing has changed. Comfort is not your friend. Comfort is the silent thief of your potential. Growth always demands discomfort. Think about the seed buried in the ground. It must break open to release the life inside. That breaking is uncomfortable, but without it, there is no tree, no fruit, no harvest. Think about a child learning to walk. The falls, the stumbles, the bruises are uncomfortable. But without them, there is no running, no climbing, no adventure. Every stage of growth carries pain, but that pain is proof that something greater is being born inside of you. Comfort convinces you that where you are is enough. It convinces you that what you have already achieved is all you need. But destiny never settles. Purpose never stops stretching. There is always more inside you than what you have already given. The moment you stop reaching, you stop living. The moment you stop stretching, you start dying. Comfort is not neutral, it is destructive. Let me remind you, every invention that changed the world came from someone who refused to stay comfortable. Thomas Edison did not find the light bulb in comfort. He found it after thousands of failures, sleepless nights, and endless rejection. Nelson Mandela did not lead South Africa out of apartheid by staying comfortable. He endured prison for 27 years. He chose discomfort so that a generation could taste freedom. Even the heroes you admire today, the business leaders, the athletes, the scientists, they all have one thing in common. They chose growth over comfort. The truth is, comfort feels safe, but it is an illusion. It feels secure, but it is a trap. A bird that refuses to leave the nest will never learn to fly. A fish that refuses to swim upstream will never reach the fresh waters where life is renewed. And a person who refuses to step out of their comfort zone will never discover the vastness of their potential. Think about your own life. How many opportunities have you missed because comfort told you to stay the same? How many dreams have you delayed because comfort told you it was too risky? How many times have you settled for less because comfort told you it was enough? Comfort will never push you, it will only hold you back. And here's the challenge, growth is always uncomfortable at first. Starting a new business feels risky. Studying for a new skill feels overwhelming. Facing your fears feels terrifying. But on the other side of discomfort is transformation. The gym is uncomfortable, but it builds strength. The classroom is uncomfortable, but it builds knowledge. The first step into the unknown is uncomfortable, but it builds courage. Discomfort is the birthplace of every great success story. Do not despise discomfort. Embrace it. Learn from it. Let it shape you. Because comfort may feel good for a moment, but it will cost you a lifetime. And discomfort may feel painful in the moment, but it will produce a harvest that will outlive you. Every time you feel uncomfortable, it is a sign that you are stretching. It is a sign that you are growing. It is a sign that you are moving closer to the life you were created to live. That is why the people who accomplish great things are not the ones who chase comfort, but the ones who chase growth. They are the ones who are willing to feel the heat of the fire, the pressure of the storm, the weight of the challenge, because they understand that comfort is the enemy of growth. Belief is not just a thought you carry in your mind. It is the very engine that drives your life forward. Without belief, even the greatest ideas remain locked in your imagination. Without belief, opportunities pass you by because you never have the courage to seize them. Without belief, dreams die quietly in the graveyard of hesitation. Belief is not optional. Belief is fuel. It is the fire that turns intention into action and action into achievement. Think about it. Every great movement in history, every invention, every breakthrough began with belief. Before the airplane ever touched the sky, the Wright brothers believed that man could fly. Before the light bulb illuminated the world, Thomas Edison believed that it was possible. Before nations were freed from oppression, leaders believed in freedom, even when the chains of slavery said otherwise. Belief comes before proof. Belief comes before evidence. Belief comes before reality. And without it, nothing is possible. Belief is powerful because it reshapes how you see yourself. When you believe, your language changes. You stop saying, I can't, and you start saying, I will. You stop focusing on obstacles, and you start focusing on possibilities. You stop shrinking back from challenges, and you start rising to meet them. Belief does not remove the mountain, but it gives you the strength to climb it. Many people think that talent alone will guarantee success, but talent without belief is wasted potential. You can have skill, you can have resources, you can have opportunities, but if you don't believe you can use them, they will slip through your fingers. On the other hand, belief without resources can still move mountains because belief inspires creativity, perseverance, and resilience. It makes you find a way where there seems to be no way. Belief is contagious. When you carry strong belief, people around you begin to see possibilities too. That's why leaders who believe in a vision can mobilize nations. That's why teachers who believe in their students can change classrooms. That's why parents who believe in their children can raise world changers. Belief doesn't just empower you, it empowers everyone connected to you. But let's be real, belief is not easy. Life has a way of throwing disappointments at you. You start something and it fails. You trust someone and they let you down. You dream of a better future and the present looks nothing like it. In those moments, belief feels heavy, belief feels unrealistic, belief feels impossible. Yet that is the very moment where belief matters most. Anyone can believe when the evidence is clear. True belief is when you hold on even when nothing makes sense. Belief is tested in the storm. It is tested when doors close, when finances dry up, when friends walk away. That's where belief shows its true power. Because when you keep believing through the storm, your belief fuels you to act, to rise, to keep going until the tide turns. Belief is not passive. It does not sit and wait for things to change. Belief moves. Belief acts. Belief builds even when the bricks are few and the hands are tired. Think about a runner preparing for a marathon. Training is exhausting. The body screams to quit. The legs feel heavy, but belief whispers one more mile, one more step. That belief fuels action, and that action builds endurance, and that endurance creates victory. Without belief, the runner quits. With belief, the runner finishes. And with belief, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. So ask yourself today, what do you truly believe about yourself? Do you believe you were created for more? Do you believe that your past does not define your future? Do you believe that the obstacles in front of you are not stronger than the purpose within you? Because what you believe will determine how you act, and how you act will determine what you achieve. Belief turns fear into courage. Belief turns waiting into doing. Belief turns dreams into reality. It is not enough to hope. It is not enough to wish. It is not enough to want. You must believe, because belief is the fuel that sets everything else in motion. Every war that has ever been won, every kingdom that has ever been built, every dream that has ever been fulfilled began with a victory inside, long before the medals, long before the applause, long before the results were seen by the world. The first battle was fought in the mind and in the heart. Victory does not begin on the outside, it begins within. The truth is, the greatest wars are not fought between nations, but inside individuals. The war between fear and faith, the war between discipline and laziness, the war between excuses and responsibility. Every day, every one of us wakes up on a battlefield, and the enemy we face is often ourselves. The thoughts we entertain, the emotions we allow, the decisions we make in silence. These are the real fights that determine whether we will rise or fall. Consider the athlete preparing for the Olympics. Before they stand under the lights, before they compete before the world, they have already fought hundreds of battles within. The battle to wake up at 5 a.m. when their body begged for sleep. The battle to keep training when no one was watching. The battle to push past pain, fatigue, and doubt. By the time they stand on the starting line, they have already won the inner war. That is why they have the strength to win the outer one. The same is true for you. Your success in life is not decided by external forces first. It is decided by what happens in your inner world. If you lose the battle in your thoughts, you will lose it in your actions. If you lose the battle in your emotions, you will lose it in your decisions. But if you win inside, nothing outside can stop you. Think about David in the story of Goliath. The giant stood tall, armed with weapons and surrounded by fear. But David had already won the battle inside. Long before he stepped onto the battlefield, he had conquered fear in the fields as a shepherd boy. He had fought lions and bears. He had cultivated courage in silence. By the time he faced Goliath, the victory was already decided because the inner battle was already won. That's the principle. External victories are simply the reflection of internal triumphs, and internal defeats always show up on the outside eventually. A leader who loses the battle against pride will fall publicly. A person who loses the battle against insecurity will sabotage their own success. A dreamer who loses the battle against procrastination will see opportunities pass them by. But the one who conquers self, the one who disciplines the mind, the one who trains the heart, that person becomes unstoppable. Victory inside requires honesty. You cannot win the inner battle if you keep lying to yourself. You must confront your weaknesses, your fears, your habits. You must face the uncomfortable truth about where you are and who you are becoming. Avoiding the inner battle will never bring you peace. It will only make the war harder when the pressure comes. But when you face it, when you look in the mirror and decide to fight, you reclaim your power. And here's the reality: the inner battle is not won once, it is won daily. You don't overcome fear one time, you overcome it every time it rises. You don't conquer doubt once, you silence it every time it speaks. You don't master discipline in a single moment, you master it every morning when you choose to act, every evening when you choose to persist, every day when you refuse to surrender. The inner battle is a lifestyle, not an event. The beauty of it is this: once you begin to win within, everything outside begins to shift. Confidence replaces insecurity. Peace replaces anxiety. Focus replaces distraction. Resilience replaces weakness. People notice the change. Opportunities are attracted to you. Doors begin to open. But it all starts not with them, not with circumstances, not with luck. It starts with you deciding to win the war inside. There is a reason why armies train their soldiers first in discipline before they ever go to battle. Because if a soldier cannot obey himself, he cannot face the enemy. The same is true in life. If you cannot master your own impulses, if you cannot rule your own emotions, if you cannot discipline your own mind, the battles outside will crush you. But if you train yourself within, if you learn to fight and win the small battles in secret, the big battles in public will fall before you. Victory begins in the inner battle. It begins the moment you silence the voice that tells you to quit. It begins when you rise after failure and say, "I am not done yet." It begins when you look at fear and choose courage anyway. It begins when you master yourself, because once you do, no enemy outside has the power to defeat you. My friends, we have traveled together through the battlefield of the mind, through the struggles of the heart, and through the choices that shape destiny. And if there is one truth that rises above them all, it is this: your future is not in the hands of chance, it is in the strength of your choices today. The greatest enemy is not outside of you, it is within you. It is fear, doubt, and procrastination, and you must conquer it daily. You have been reminded that ordinary men and women, just like you, can rise to do extraordinary things when they choose perseverance over excuses. You have seen that comfort is a silent thief, that growth demands sacrifice, and that you must leave behind what feels safe if you are to embrace what is possible. You now know that belief is not just a thought, it is the fuel that ignites action, the force that transforms dreams into reality. And above all, victory begins in the inner battle. When you win within, no force outside can overcome you. So I call on you today: rise. Rise above your fears, rise above your doubts, rise above the smallness of yesterday. Rise with courage, with conviction, with faith. Your destiny is too great to be delayed by excuses. Your calling is too important to be silenced by fear. The world is waiting for your contribution, for your light, for your leadership, for your victory. Do not wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment will never come. Do not wait for permission. The permission has already been given. Do not wait for someone else to rise. You are the one chosen for this hour. Stand up, take your place, and move forward with boldness. Because the truth is this: you are stronger than your struggle. You are greater than your pain. You are bigger than your past. Inside you lies the power to break barriers, to build bridges, to shape nations, to inspire generations. But it all begins with one decision: to beat the enemy before it beats you.